My summer was ruined. I had to go to special classes called speech therapy classes. Now, my 3.5-year-old brother didn't know what speech therapy was, so he asked my dad, "Where are we going?" And dad said, "We're going to learn how to say, 'How now, brown cow.'" Okay, so we get there, and this fake teacher, I'll call her, she looked at my brother and said, "Oh, you're so cute," which he was, but "You're so cute. What's your name?" And he says, of course, "How now, brown cow." The family thought it was funny. But she was such a fake teacher. That's what I remember. I don't know if I speak better because of the speech therapy, but I do know not to talk down to kids. That's her whole demeanor, was talking down to us, people who needed her help with speech therapy, not making us feel bad because she just talked down to us. We had enough troubles already, right? Then I had this driver's ed teacher. Now, he also was a traveling teacher, and he came to my hometown, but luckily it was during the school year, not during summer vacation. And he taught us the written part of driver's ed, and we did some driving as well. But he said, first day, if anybody gets 100% on my tests, because he gave us tests all the way through, I will give you $5. Oh, dollars, I'm in. So I studied for the first one, got 100%, and I didn't get the $5 back with my test. So I went up to him after and I said, when are you going to give me my $5? What? I never said I'd give you $5. Huh. Huh. The obvious word liar came to mind, but also I was thinking to myself, he should not have promised that unless he was willing to give it to us. I learned that lesson. It's the way it is. I wrote a geometry test and again got 100%. Now, I'm not bragging about my 100%. I'm just saying there's a lot of baggage when you write a test and get 100%. So I'm sitting there when we're going through the test in class, geometry class, and I noticed that the teacher had marked one question right, and that wasn't right. So I, being the honest person I am, I went up to the front and I said, this answer, maybe you should check that again, or something to that effect. The teacher stood up, grabbed his red pen, took my test, and X'd out the 100 and wrote what the actual mark was in front of everybody else. Honesty. That's what I got. Humiliation for being honest. So you bet when I taught school myself, if any kid, and it happened 2 or 3 times, kids would come and say, "You marked this correct, Mrs. Carter, and it was wrong." I'd say, "Thank you for being honest. I'm not changing your mark." And in the big scheme of things, at the end of the year, that's not going to count for anything, those couple marks. I would rather reward that child for honesty. And that's how I thought all the way through my teaching career. And I'd like to thank those bad teachers because they taught me things that would have taken me a whole lot longer to actually learn. So my last teacher I'm talking about is my favorite gym teacher. He was a hoot. He would come down the hallway wearing his cap, which wasn't allowed, but he was a teacher, and his whistle around his neck and a clipboard in his hand. And when you saw him coming from the other side of that hallway, you scooted into the female bathroom really quick because you knew he wanted you to actually score the game or, do some job at the upcoming whatever game was happening after school. So you got out of there. But he also got stuck. And I realize now, after I've been teaching for quite a few years, he got stuck teaching health. He didn't like health. So he did whatever he needed to do to teach us health. And I remember we had taken the eyeball in the first term. And I foolishly did not study my eyeball. I should have. I should have studied eyeball much more. So we get into the test, and I'm going, oh, we have to label the eyeball. And I hadn't studied. Second test comes along, and I thought, boy, he's not going to put the eyeball on that test. No, no. Yeah, he did. Third test comes along, and I'm sure that I have it made. I think no eyeball on the third test. Yeah, it was there. And I learned from him, you don't want to be predictable with the kids. You want to do something different. I love that guy. Hey, we're all in this together. Learn from your former teachers, good and bad.